Coming to you live from the Comfortably Zone Network. Currently in San Francisco, it's Ralph Zig Tyko and Zig in the Zone.
With Pauly B, Paul Brumbaugh, how are you?
Good to see you, my friend. We'll give you the fist bump one more time on the air so everybody knows it.
35 episodes.
35, almost in the can. We're
almost
working on
in
it.
the can.
We're working on it.
Not literally in the can, but in the can.
In the can.
Okay.
So I know that we have a special guest. We're going to, instead of us kibitzing and hanging out for a minute, we need to jump into some business, right?
Absolutely. Let me introduce Trish Herrera Spencer.
There you go.
Who is my longtime friend. And she's responsible for the first serious interview I ever conducted. 3,200 episodes later, Trish was nice enough when she was running for mayor the first time, and she made it, thank God. We'll talk about that later. But you gave me an interview and you humanized our podcast, and I'm grateful for that and always will be. And I might add, as in your duties as mayor, you happen to have helped my best friend, one of my best friends in Alameda. I don't know if you remember George Archibald.
Yes, yes. He's a veteran, a Vietnam veteran.
Absolutely. And he was getting his daughter into a school or what happened. You were very, very good with him. You were also very good with me when I was in transition and looking for a place. I'm a veteran too, and you're just tremendous. You had a heart, and I'll lead you into what you want to talk about in your campaign. You're running again for mayor. You ran for mayor, you were defeated, and you're running again for mayor. How about that?
No, she's going to correct you. Watch this.
All right, give me a correction.
All right, here we go.
First of all, I want to thank you for having me to be a guest on your show. Always good to see you, Zig, and nice to meet you, Paul. I was mayor. I ran for re-election. I did not win. I ran for city council. That is at the office I hold right now, and I'm running for re-election for city council.
Oh,
and prior to that, right, I was on school board. I was elected twice to school board, and that's when I was able to help. I was able to help George with the issues his daughter was having in the schools.
Now, Trish, your background is in education, correct?
I'm actually an attorney by profession,
okay.
A litigator, which helps me a lot when I ask questions from the dais. But I served, I was elected twice to school board, served 6 years. I did not complete the second term. I served 2 years of that, and then I segued to being mayor of the city. So I went from school board to mayor, and then I ran for council, and that's the 4-year term I'm finishing up now. And I'm running for re-election to city council of the city of Alameda, by the way.
You know, that's almost on the road to the White House. We see that right now. We see that now with Kamala. So that's great.
Yes.
Tell us about why you're serving the fine people of Alameda.
Okay, I'm happy to. Okay, so what I do, and honestly, Zig brought up some of these two stories about it. I'm really good at connecting dots, at speaking with people. People reach out to me. They have issues, concerns about whatever. And then I'm willing to put in the time and try to help them connect the dots and quite often get the services from government that they actually deserve and are entitled to. I regularly hear that people email all council, and I'll be the one council member that responds. I'll be the one council member that shows up at public events. I'm very, I'm a participant in our community. I'm out and about in our community all the time. But there's always work to be done, and that's why I'm running for re-election. Right there, people always say, well, so what is the issue? Well, for me right now, currently, a big issue is policing, safety in our town, and also care for those that are unhoused and those that require mental health services. So I was instrumental in creating what we call our care team, which is our non-police crisis team intervention. And there, what did I do? I connected dots. The fire department wanted to be the lead. They did not have a social welfare component. I'm very familiar with Alameda Family Services that provides services for youth as well as seniors and everything in between in Alameda, that was started in the 70s by a teacher. And so I said, oh, why don't we have Alameda Family Services be the partner to provide those services? And I reached out to them. They had not even been communicated with by the city. They knew nothing about this. And so then they applied, and honestly, the rest is history. It's a county award-winning approach to address this serious issue. And, and we're doing really well. And so that's just one great example of what I bring to the table of being really a hands-on participant in our community.
Who are you running against?
Okay, well, I'm not going to mention their names. However, there is a blog that went out there right away and said that there's only one that had ever spoken at a council meeting before pulling papers. So we have some, people that are running that, with different backgrounds, honestly, but they've never written a letter to the editors. One of them has now spoken once at a council meeting, but they're back there. Like before I ran for council, I had served, I've been on school board for 6 years. I've been Alameda PTA council president, overseeing all of our PTAs as a volunteer for 2 terms, right? I had done a lot of hands-on volunteering. I still have. I volunteered over 25 years in our community. But most of the people that are running against me, I mean, you have some that have just moved here, one that says he's 5th generation, but so everything in between. But in regards to what they've done for our community, recently, it's very different. It's very, very different.
Good. And you're qualified. You got the job.
But I do want to speak to this because, I stick my neck out all the time on issues, right? I am honestly a leader in regards to working with our community. Our community has issues, and then staff doesn't necessarily put them on the agenda, right? And like on the cannabis issue, I did what we call referrals, request to council, to get it on the agenda, and multiple times, right? It was a hard lift, a heavy lift. License plate readers, that's another time when I've had to do a referral. But I've done referrals on multiple issues to get issues in front of council, so then we can take action. But an issue that I'm being attacked for right now, and people know this, is good. I don't know if you've ever heard of Max Hodak, Maxhodak. He worked with Elon Musk, and they did some animal experiments at UC Davis. And the only reason we know what happened there with the Neuralink is because the experiments were conducted at UC Davis, so they were subject to public information requests. And we still have not received, and the public hasn't, all of the records for all the experiments they did there. However, Max came to Alameda, has a private company called Science Corps, and I believe it's on Atlantic in Alameda, and wanted to rent space from the city on city property to do his animal experiments. Well, I tried to see his where he keeps the animals currently on private property in Alameda, and when I went there with an appointment by their staff, I was told, "Oh, can't see the animals; they're not available." And that was before they came to council for us to vote. So then, when it came to council, I voted against having it on public property. I think that if they want to do it, it can be on private, but why should the city of Alameda have, we don't have a lot of space, but we do have space. Why should we be housing a company that does animal experimentation where they do not divulge to the public what they're doing? They completely resist showing the public what they are doing. And so I don't, so I'll tell you what happened though. He created an association to actually, and they just filed the financials with the city clerk of $50,000 from Max Hodak to, and it says that there's $17,000 spent to date to do literature. So we are all expecting what we call a hit piece from Max, because he's upset because I did prevail. They have to have 4 votes of council to be able to rent space from the city. They couldn't get to 4. It actually ended up, I believe that they got to 3 because, right, you have council members that just kind of go with the flow. But it is our job as a council member to make stuff available to the public. And we have companies that don't want to do that, and they want to do it on city property. And so I'm going to resist them. And so then they're going to put up a fight to try to, have me not get reelected because they don't want to let us know what they want to do on city property. So Zig, what do you think about that? If you want to do animal experiments?
What I think about that is this is the reason, and more reasons, why we are endorsing you. Zig in the Zone is endorsing you and would for any position you want to run for. I think Congress is next. Does that beckon you?
Honestly, no. I love my work in Alameda. I love living here, right? I raised my family here. And I call, Alameda's my home now. I didn't grow up here. I grew up in Los Angeles. I'm actually the first Hispanic, Mexican-American mayor and council member, and first and only of Alameda.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yes. Anything you want to say in closing, because you gave us only so much time.
We could spend all day with you.
We could. On a various amount of reasons. We were talking off the air. You are so proud of what you did for cannabis, which is our main issue in life, that and baseball. But tell us briefly what happened in legalizing it in Alameda, because we went from no cannabis dispensaries to now 3 or 4.
4.
4. One I didn't know about beforehand today. We're gonna sponsor Park Social. We think that's the best in terms of ambience, price, skill, and knowledge of the bartenders and what have you.
And compassion to their patients.
Exactly, which is what it should be. It shouldn't be just somebody selling you a bag of weed. Anyway, you got it started in Alameda. First of all, how could people have resisted, given the money it brings the city? who is your biggest opponent to that?
Okay, well, I want to be, I'm aware of the time. I don't have a lot of time with you guys, but I'd rather talk about who supported me. It was a 3-2 vote. You have to get 3 on our city council, 5 of us, to be able to take action. And it was Jim Odie and Malia Vella, I believe, that were the 3 with myself. And it was the current mayor and Frank Mataresi that I believe were the opposition. And so it was hard. It was hard to get to the 3 of us to be able to bring dispensaries, and we do have 4. And the fastest growing population demographic, you probably know, is seniors. But it was important. This came out of a community effort that people wanted lab tested cannabis as opposed to buying it on the street, right? But it was another really big effort to try to get from 0 to 4. And what happened there was we were actually only going to do like 2 dispensaries, but also like delivery services. And then the staff said that we couldn't do just delivery services by themselves. And from the dais, I said, well, then let's do 4 dispensaries. And I remember Jim looking at me and thinking and saying something like, what did you just say, Trish? From the dais, right? And it's like, no, I still wanted 4 because I think it's important for competition, but I also think it's important for, there is some data out there. It's like for every 15,000 population, 1 dispensary is what we were being told, which would get you to 60,000 because we have 4. We actually have about 76,000 people now. So, but we ended, and also the way our town is laid out, I thought it'd be nice to have 2 on the west side and 2 on the east side of town, which is what we ended up with. So it just came together, but it is, I think, important work. And we did have sadly, some personal testimonies of people that don't remember a few days of their lives and wake up in hospitals because they ended up getting something that was laced from the street. So there were some legitimate reasons. I'm a breast cancer survivor. There's a lot of people that, use cannabis to help with whatever, physical ailments, different ailments that they have, which is honestly why I think it's good to have dispensaries that you can go to in person and speak with a nurse or someone that has a background of helping you in that respect.
Now, in closing, I know you wanted to share some issues what you guys are facing going into this election. Talk to us about that before we let you go.
Actually, I thought we were going to talk about that I have a daughter that serves in our Coast Guard.
There you go.
Beautiful.
That's a great one. We can segue right into that.
Because I go out to the Grand Street Landing every now and again, and just for medicinal purposes and for meditation. And there's a Coast Guard cutter right across from there that I get to see. And I think of you and your daughter. I'm not a big proponent of going into the military for kids, but when I was a kid, thinking about it, they called the Coast Guard the Jewish Yacht Club. So I think your daughter is relatively safe. Tell me about the work that she does.
Okay, so Alameda is a Coast Guard city, and so I actually did a lot of work supporting the Coast Guard while I was mayor. I was awarded their highest civilian recognition for that work. But my daughter grew up with a lot of coasties here in Alameda. They volunteer in our schools. But so she joined the Coast Guard. She's actually in her 6th year. She had been stationed in Mobile during Hurricane Sally, and she was doing aids to navigation then, which is that you go out. This is my explanation. You go out on a smaller vessel and you make sure the waterways are clear and that they're properly marked. However, now she's specializing in at the health clinic. She's a health services technician. She's enlisted in the Coast Guard. She's not an officer. And I have had people say, oh, how come your daughter's not an officer? She likes hands-on. She does not want a desk job. And she also has a child, a little 1.5-year-old. So I am a grandmother. And and being based here at Coast Guard Island, she's in her last year here. She's going to be, given orders to go somewhere else soon. It'll be some like in May or whatever. And that's the Coast Guard life. But I am extremely proud of all of our men and women that serve our country. And as much as some of them may be quote unquote safe, right? We know that when they take that oath, when they sign, that they are serving our country. And I have total respect for each and every one of them.
Beautiful.
And we know your time is precious. Is there anything else you would like to share with us?
Well, yes, I have a website, Trish for you, the number 4, the letter U.com. I always give out my phone number, 510-761-5123. And that rings on my personal phone. You're free to call me. You can email me at votetrish@gmail.com. But honestly, I love that you do this show. Congratulations for your sponsor, Park Social. Oh, I know. I actually nominated Park Social for an Architectural Preservation Award. They really did a lot of work on restoring that building and carrying the theme through in the interior. And they actually received the award. So they are a proud recipient of one of Alameda's Architectural Preservation Awards, too.
That's awesome. And we get to throw it over to Park Social after this. Again, thanks for joining us. Trish Herrera Spencer, everybody. Give it up. Yeah.
I am so
Thank
proud
you.
that you're my friend.
My pleasure. Take care.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you. And we'll see you next time. All right, guys. We're going to go right into that. And here's a little bit about that Park Social.
Park Social, located at 1222 Park Street, Alameda. Open 9 to 9 p.m. 7 days a week, with specials every day of the week. Look us up on the web at parksocialalameda.com. Again, that address is 1222 Park Street in Alameda. Phone number is 510-747-9707.
And tell them that Zig In The Zone and Pauly B sent you.
And also ask for Jada.
Jada is the bomb. Jada's the best.
She is unbelievable. She's a senior bud tender there. She too is my friend, and I have a variety of great people in my life, and I'm so proud. Trish, you were great, and I'm glowing that you chose us, and we chose you to get the word out for you.
There we go. And then, so what I'm going to do now, we're going to do a little Lily Tomlin thing. 1 ringy dingy, 2 ringy dingy, and we're going to go over to Peter Trunk. Let's see if we can get him on the horn. Let's see here. Of course, I love this. I love it when they want to send me more junk mail. Isn't it great when they send you junk?
Well, they could send it all they want. I don't have to read it.
There we go. All right, so once he answers the phone, we'll see. But that was great hanging out with Trish. That was nice. She's a nice lady.
And she's a nice lady, and like most of our guests, she's interesting.
Right.
And like most of our guests, she has a heart. The way she spoke about animals and stuff, I just, like I told her, I'm thrilled to have her as a friend.
Right.
And there's Peter.
Yeah,
Sean.
so we got Peter. We'll go ahead and go over to that screen. We'll see if he can flip it sideways. But we'll get close. Peter's there. All right, guys. Joining us. Where's Peter at? I forgot where Pete's at.
Peter is in New Jersey.
New Jersey. Joining us from New Jersey, it's Peter Trunk.
I know you're talking, but I can't hear what you're saying.
You can't hear a
I have
thing
my
we're
volume
saying.
all the way up.
Well, we hear you, and that was the biggest fear you had going in, is that you wouldn't be able to be heard on this venue.
Yeah, we can hear you, so you may have to turn up your volume. That's funny. You're on video. And might I say, trim your ear hair. It's an old joke I have for Zig. I like to get the inside there, yeah.
Yes.
So it's good. It's kind of good to see Peter. We think we're seeing Peter. We're going to try this. Hopefully he gets to us. We'll try this again. I'm going to do the 1 ringy dingy, 2 ringy dingy again because it works this way. There we go. Now
Hello.
can you hear us? Now can you hear us?
Can you hear us?
I can't hear one word.
Wow. So if you have an
I'm
iPhone,
telling you, one of my speakers on my phone blew out, and it just doesn't. I have to hold it up against my ear, and barely can I hear it even then.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you want us to call you? You gave us
we can call you a phone. We can call you on a phone.
Okay.
All right. So let's do that. We'll be back with you.
Okay. Fine.
All right. So.
And while you're trying to get him,
yes, sir.
Let me ask you, Paulie, how your week is going.
Oh, same stuff, different day.
Okay. You got the studio going good.
I do. Yeah, I do. Except I had a little issue yesterday, but we could figure that out. And that'll be fine. But as long as we make it through your podcast, we're good.
Good.
And then what I'm going to do is have you show me Peter's stuff, and I'm going to dial him.
Okay.
And we're going to see what's happening, and I'm going to have you. I can't walk and chew gum, let alone program a computer and talk to people, but I can do that sooner or later. And we won't say his number out loud. I'll just go ahead and dial it this way.
It's coming. It's
Here, I got
coming.
You want to know where you're going? I know where you're going with it. I know where you're going with it. So you talk to us. Tell us a little bit about your friend.
My friend Peter?
Yeah, tell us a little bit about your friend
He
Peter.
is the oldest, and I don't mean in age, but he predates in my life Facebook.
Okay.
We were both on a group, a baseball group. I can't remember the name of it.
Okay.
And I asked him early on if I had a podcast, would you guest? And he was very reluctant to. He wasn't accustomed to this type of thing, and he went from there to being one of the stars of the show on Comfortably Zone Network. And his idea of paradise was remembering the Brooklyn Dodgers. And he has a couple of sites on the Dodgers.
Hello.
There we go.
He's a Met fan.
And he's joining us on the phone.
And he's joining us on the phone.
There we go. Peter Trunk, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, Paul. How are you?
Very well. It was good to see you even for a split second, but it's even better to hear your voice, my man.
And maybe we could put up a picture of Peter.
Yeah, we can do that. We can put a picture of Peter Trunk up while we're talking to him.
And he
Isn't
sent
that
us
nice?
one to put up.
Okay.
Oh, he did. Okay,
So
now you're really
just looking that.
You're making me do this stuff on the fly.
But I'm making you, and while you're doing that, let's talk, Peter, about what is a tremendous playoff matchup between our Mets, your Mets, and your Dodgers. Is this tough?
You know, when this came to fruition, Ralph, my beautiful wife Linda looked at me and said, "Hey, this is for you. This is a win-win situation." And I was stunned that she grasped it so quickly and so well. And it really touched to use a baseball simile, touched all the bases for me. I mean, you know, when I watched the game the games plural. It tugs at my heart, because I have, as you well know, maybe your audience doesn't know, I have Brooklyn roots, and the Dodgers have always been in my blood. And when the Mets came along, I fell in love head over heels with the Mets. So I am, in fact, in a situation right now that Linda perfectly deemed a win-win. And what happened? The first game, one team won, and the second game, the other team won. So I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but we'll see what happens.
Well, let me ask you, what did you do between 1958 and when the Mets were born? They were actually not born in 62. They were born in 61, literally.
Yes.
And most people, they just came to be in 1962. No, it took a lot of planning to get them. And one of the people I want to mention was the old Dodger guy, Branch Rickey, who brought us Jackie Robinson, was the head of what was known as the Continental League.
Yes.
And it forced expansion. And
I think we just lost him. Did we lose you, Pete? We did. He automatically. It's all right. We'll call him back.
We'll call him back. But what the Continental League did, as I started to say, it forced expansion. And out of expansion was the New York Mets and the Houston Colt 45s. But I really want to know what Peter did in the interim as for fandom. And I think we have him back.
Yeah, I'm back.
There
I'm back.
Go. Okay.
We didn't try to hang up on you. We really didn't.
It was a dibbick, as we say in the Yiddish vernacular. But Peter, I just want to say and interrupt. This is pretty cool having you, because we've gone through a lot of stuff together on the internet. One time we tried to get a video thing, and the producers, it turned out, were Holocaust deniers.
Yes, I remember that years ago. Yeah.
And we wanted to stay on the air so badly that we almost denied that to ourselves for a while.
We almost did, but it turned out we did not.
Thank God. And because they were the most right-wing people I ever met, really and truthfully. And the spirit of Comfortably Zone has always been live and let live, and the right-wingers don't want to do that by any stretch. So we were able, you and I, to maintain our ideology and not have to, like when you vote for the wrong person, you hold your nose and you vote. We don't want to hold our nose in podcasts. No. So, but answer my question, Peter. What did you do for fandom between 1958 and when the Mets were born?
Well, it's pretty boring, and you're going to laugh what I did, but I did do this because those are the years I was 12, 13, and 14.
Me too.
I went with my best buddy, my next door neighbor, who was also a Yankee hater. I was a Yankee hater, still am. We used to get tickets through the mail, and we used to take 2 buses and 2 trains from the Valesburg section of Newark, New Jersey, and we used to go to Yankee Stadium and root against the Yankees. And we normally go and see, like, let's say the Cleveland Indians, and we would root like crazy for Rocky Colavito and
a Bronx boy, Rocky Colavito.
That's exactly. Colavito was from the Bronx, and we used to vote. We used to love him, and we used to love Minnie Minoso. And then when Colavito went to Detroit, we used to go there anyway, and we used to vote. I keep wanting to say vote. I got the election on my mind.
Who doesn't?
I'm sure a lot of people do. I'm sure a lot of people do. But anyway, we used to go and root for Rocky Colavito. I remember going to see a doubleheader, and I'm not going to. I can't remember if it was the Cleveland Indians or the Detroit Tigers, but it was one of those teams where Colavito played on them. And not only did they sweep the Yankees in the doubleheader, but Colavito hit what used to be called the game-winning home run.
Mm-hmm.
They used to call it, even though they were the road team, it wasn't a walk-off because the Yankees had to be put out 1-2-3 in the ninth inning, bottom of the ninth. But Colavito hit a home run in the first game, which was the difference, and the home run in the second game, which was the difference. That was the ultimate in my 1958, 59, 60, and 61. When the Mets were born, and you were right, they were born in the winter of 1961, which I followed very closely in the New York papers, the New York Daily News, the New York Daily Mirror, and the New York Post before it became a rag.
And the Brooklyn Eagle. The Brooklyn Eagle was still going.
Yeah, the Brooklyn Eagle was right, but I stopped reading that when I moved out of Brooklyn. But anyway, make a long story short, we all know the funny stories of Casey Stengel in the beginning, and Harry Cheedy was traded for Harry Cheedy, and the first Met that was grabbed was a catcher because without a catcher you'll have too many pass balls. We know all the jokes.
Hobie Landreth, as a matter of fact.
Exactly, that's who it was.
Hobie
Landreth
on this network.
Right, we know all the jokes, but the sad facts are that the New York Mets, and this wasn't Casey's doing, the New York Mets initially, what they did, they signed all of the former stars that were in their prime 5, 6, 7 seasons before 1962. So we got a whole bunch of washed up big names, and they lost.
They weren't all Dodgers, too.
No, they weren't. No, they weren't.
There was Gus Bell and Gene Woodling, as an example.
Richie Ashburn.
Absolutely, who was the first all-star of the Mets. Every team had to have someone. Then they went and got Marv Throneberry to become
Marvelous Marv.
To become as laughable as can be. And the first year, with all the craziness and all the losing, was fun. After that,
it was.
After that, for a true fan of New York, we were used to seeing the World Series played in our backyard every year, be it the Dodgers and the Yankees, the Giants, what have you. I didn't take me personally, I didn't take to losing very well at all. And that second year, I almost went back to rooting for the Giants again, whom I rooted for those 5 years. I also enjoyed Detroit and Charlie Maxwell coming in for doubleheaders and maybe homering that game, Billy Bruton and what have you. Great memories of Yankee Stadium, no matter who you rooted for. My God, we had Mickey Mantle, Yogi Berra, Hank Bauer. It was just an incredible streak for the Yankees. They were coming off winning 5 World Series in a row, and we saw good baseball.
Yeah, we did. We saw a lot of good baseball. Paul Maxwell, that's funny that you should mention him. I remember Charlie Maxwell with his funny batting stance, little left-handed hitter, used to hit home runs on Sundays.
Yes.
They called him Mel Allen dubbed him the Sunday Puncher. Number 4,
that.
Charlie Maxwell.
But
That's
I want to tell you, and you know it, but our audience, those games that we're talking about are all archived on YouTube. If you went to YouTube and you look for Yankees Detroit radio broadcast, you could hear the likes of Mel Allen, Bill Rizzuto, and Red Barber announcing that no matter what was going on the field on any given day, got to hear their dulcet tones. They were a terrific team of broadcasters. And
yes, you also know this. You can get a lot of the Brooklyn Dodger radio broadcast too, with Vin Scully calling the games.
And occasionally you could get some Red Barber, who was on the radio when I was a kid at my grandparents' house learning baseball. I was a Giant fan. My grandfather was a Giant fan. But when he put on the radio, he put on Red Barber. And Red Barber was a thrill only because in my memory, he was the person who discovered Vin Scully, tutored Vin Scully, and in my opinion, Vin Scully was just as good, if not better, than Red Barber.
Vin Scully was dynamite, I'll tell you that much. He only lasted 67 years, though.
Right. He could have been more.
Right.
He got tired of it. And he didn't get tired of it. It was every broadcast. And talking about those games, to those of you out there that want to get the spirit of Vin Scully, listen to the last inning of him describing Sandy Koufax's no-hitter. Just he made it. He painted pictures, and
yes, he did.
He painted word pictures that were just as good as the radio was it for me. I didn't hear many games. I didn't watch many games on television, but I knew what was happening from their description. And Vin was great. I mentioned Sandy Koufax off the top of my head. Talk about Sandy.
Well, he's just, I'm an old man, and I've seen a lot of baseball, being a baseball fanatic all my life, and I've never seen anyone better pitcher than Sandy Koufax. Sandy Koufax was the best I ever saw. Now, does that mean he was the best ever? No, it doesn't. It means he's the best I ever saw, period. I'm not trying to change anyone's mind or claim that I know more than anyone. He's the left arm of God to me, Sandy Koufax. He just
does that mean his left arm is
and you want to know something? You want to know something? Here, look this up. See if you can find a major league pitcher who in his final season won 27 games and had an ERA under 2.0. Only Sandy Koufax you're going to find. And that's even in the, if you're looking in the era of when they used to cheat and they used to take, drugs, steroids and stuff. And don't get me started on steroids because there are a couple of
that could be the era that we're living in right now. We don't know.
There are a couple. Right. There are a couple of very, very famous Hall of Famers, beloved Hall of Famers, that their statistics, if you look it up in the encyclopedia or online, drastically improved at age 38, 39, 40, 41. It's impossible for that to happen. So when I talk about Sandy Koufax, I'm talking about a thin, 6'1", maybe 175 pounds, a thin left-handed pitcher who had an arthritic elbow, and he was just absolutely amazing, absolutely amazing, the best I ever saw.
And when he retired, it wasn't because of anything, but he wanted to be able to play with his grandkids or his kids, and pick them up and what have you. And they didn't have the medicine that they have today.
No, they didn't.
He was waking up in pain, and he was taking cortisone shots on a regular basis, which wasn't good for him. And he was smart enough to know that the quality of the rest of one's life is more important than those stats and how long.
Yes.
And yet he made the Hall of Fame right away. He's
the youngest member ever, the youngest person to be inducted into the Hall of Fame in the history of the Hall of Fame.
Right. And let's not forget, he was a Brooklyn boy. And,
yes, he was.
And played basketball at the University of Cincinnati right about the time of when Oscar was coming along. And,
that's right.
And he could have been a professional basketball player. And I'll also add one more thing. Peter knows that I was the Topps representative for many years and would go to the minors to sign players. Well, one of the minors, one of the Giants minor league managers was a fellow by the name of Norm Sherry. And I got to meet Norm Sherry for several years. I go back each year to Everett and befriend Norm Sherry. Norm Sherry, tell us the story of how important Norm Sherry was to Sandy Koufax.
Okay. Sandy was a 500 pitcher at best. He, at the time, and when the Dodgers first moved from Brooklyn to Los Angeles, and he struggled with his control. Norm Sherry was the brother of Larry Sherry, another Jewish lad who pitched for the Dodgers. Larry Sherry did. He won 2 games and saved 2 games in the 1959 World Series, and his brother was his catcher, Norm Sherry, a second stringer underneath Johnny Roseborough. But anyway, on a bus trip in Florida, driving to a spring training game, Norm Sherry was sitting next to Sandy Koufax, and they were going over the lineup of the other team and thinking about, how should they approach the lineup. And Norm said to Sandy, he said, I want you to experiment today. I want you to hold back. Instead of throwing as hard as you can, I want you to throw about, let's say 75 or 80%. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And Sandy said, all right, I can try that. And they tried it, and the rest is history. Sandy became the greatest pitcher ever, in my opinion. Just incredible, because he stopped walking people. And when he stopped walking people, guess what? Right. He got everybody out. He either struck them out, or they popped up, or whatever they did. And he became not only an all-star pitcher, but an all-time all-star pitcher. And that's the legacy of Norm Sherry. He got Sandy to back off a little bit, and hence became a dynamite, great all-time star.
And Norm Sherry became what I call a baseball lifer. And I've spoken to, on my podcast network, many baseball lifers. They are much more interesting than the superstar to interview, the typical superstar to interview.
Because, many times they are, yeah.
And so I really felt privileged to talk to Norm Sherry each year and reminisce about that. Let's segue a little bit to the Dodger Met series that's going on. You look at it as a can't win situation. Do you have a preference between the Mets and the Dodgers? A deep down preference?
Sure, I do. Absolutely. When I watch the Mets and the Dodgers, whoever hits the home run, whoever makes the catch over the wall, whoever steals the base and then is knocked in with the go-ahead run, that's the team that I'm proud of, that I love. And you might say, well, that's silly. Well, that's me. The first game was all Dodgers, 9-0. And I watched with a grin on my face and told Linda, she said, how's it going? I said, oh, it's going great. The Dodgers are looking super, Then the next night came and I turned it on and I'm watching it, and Linda came in the room and she said, what's the score tonight? And I said, it's 6-0, but instead of the Dodgers, it's the Mets that are winning 6-0. She said, and you're laughing because it's a win-win situation for you. And she's 100% right. And I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to tell you this. I'm rooting for a 7-game series. That's just me. I'm being selfish. I want to see them as long as I want to see Ohtani bat as many times as I can see him do that. And I want to see it. I want to watch it. I want to experience it. I'm an old man now. I got to experience every pitch, and I'm going to be watching. And whoever wins in the 7th game, I'm rooting for the 7th game. I'm not predicting the 7th game. I'm rooting for a 7th game. Whoever wins that 7th game, I'll be glad and happy and proud to watch them in the World Series.
I so closely can relate because of my relationship, which is as an apologist for the San Francisco Giants. And when they play the Mets, I feel exactly the same way. I'll end up rooting for the Mets if they need it that year. If it's going to make a difference.
Yes. Thank you. I meant to bring that up. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. If one of the teams is vying for the pennant and the other team is down in the doldrums, way down, last place or whatever, I'm rooting for the team that needs the victory, quote unquote, needs the victory, and that's the team I root for.
Okay, let me ask you then about the Boston Red Sox, who I know you have an affinity for.
I have an affinity for the Boston Red Sox because one winter, in the wintertime, I follow basketball, I follow the Knicks, I follow hockey, I follow sports all year long, but I pine for baseball during the winter. And a while ago, like the turn of the century, 1999 into the year 2000 or 2001, in the wintertime, I would study teams like interesting teams, what I thought would be interesting teams, the Chicago Cubs, the Boston Red Sox, whatever. And I came to the conclusion after reading a lot about, and I mean a lot, about the Boston Red Sox, that they reminded me, again, I have to remind the audience, I'm just talking for myself. I'm not trying to spread a religion or anything like that. For myself, the Boston Red Sox had a lot going on that were like the Brooklyn Dodgers. And give me a minute here. They played in a wonderful stadium, okay, which held less than 40,000 people. It had no parking because it was plopped right in the middle of an urban center. It had one wall that was not very far from home plate, and that wall was very, very high, 40 feet high. They had a B on their cap. Their fans spoke with a funny accent, and their history was a great romantic history with very high highs and very low lows. And I said to myself, you know what? The Boston Red Sox are like the Brooklyn Dodgers. And I started to follow them. And just when I started to follow them, the curse of the Bambino went bye-bye. In 2004, they were down 3-0 to the mighty Bronx Bombers and came back. And for the first time in the history of baseball, they won 4 in a row to win the pennant. Okay? And then they won the World Series. And they were in the World Series 4 times. You can look this up. They've been in the World Series, the Boston Red Sox have, 4 times. And they've won all 4 times in the last 20 years. The only team to do that. Your team, the Giants, are the second with 3 World Series victories in the last 20 years. But the Boston Red Sox lead all Major League Baseball with 4 rings in the last 20 years, like 2004 to the present day. And that's why I have an affinity for the Boston Red Sox.
I appreciate that. The one thing about the Boston Red Sox, we go back to the golden age of baseball. They really screwed the pooch on integration.
Oh, absolutely. And the Yankees weren't far behind, by the way.
No. Harry.
That's why it always makes me smile when I see who's the big Knicks fan. He's the black record producer with the funny eyeglasses.
Oh yes, I know who you mean. The little short guy.
Right. Yeah, he's always running out on the court, giving high fives to the Knicks and everything. He's a crazy guy. He's very successful, millionaire, multi-millionaire. How he could be a Yankee fan is beyond me. If I ever run into him in New York City, I'm going to Spike Lee.
Yes.
Spike Lee. I will say to him, Spike, are you kidding me? How can you be a Yankee fan? They dragged their feet so long on getting a black player. 1955, Elston Howard. Are you kidding me? You got to be kidding me. Because he's a big, black nationalist and everything like that. And I would love to confront him with that. But anyway, yeah.
And the big Yankee mistake along those lines was not bringing up Vic Power, who. You mentioned the Cleveland connection, but there was more than that. Tell us about why the Yankees didn't go for Vic Power. He was a minor leaguer with them.
Before I talk a little bit about why the Yankees didn't go for Vic Power, first of all, the Yankees had Vic Power. Vic Power was in the Yankee chain.
But they never let him advance to the majors.
Yes. Well, he was never going to come up to Yankee Stadium. The Yankees in that era had a player, I want to say Johnny Lindell, and I hate to have the wrong player on this, so I'm going to take that back, the Johnny Lindell name. I'm going to say the Yankees had a player back in that era who was a vociferous anti-Semite. And I forgot. I don't want to say it was Johnny Lindell because I might be wrong, and then I'm putting it out there that he, I'm going to poison his reputation. So I take it back. But they did have a guy who was a vociferous anti-Semite, and of course Dan Topping and Del Webb, the owners, also. They used to, off the record, Del Topping and Dan Topping and Del Webb used to tell the writers, our people, meaning Yankee fans, they don't want to sit next to a Jew. They don't want to come to Yankee Stadium and have to sit behind or in front of or next to a Jew. So we're not, blah, 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 explaining their way. Now, Vic Power, if you know, now let's switch over to Vic Power.
Light-skinned Puerto Rican.
Oh, yeah. right?
Not a black man by. I mean, if you want to label
Strict
him.
definition, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but he was a very colorful. That's probably the wrong word in this context. He was not a conservative player, a conservative playing first baseman. He would swipe at the ball and dance and jump around.
He was the best fielder of all time.
Yeah, he was like.
Oh.
No, we didn't lose him. He's still there. He just muted himself. We would hear the little ting ting if we lost him.
Okay.
So he's still there. We're hanging with you. You muted yourself, Peter. We're back. We're here. There, we lost him. All right. Okay. Let's keep it official.
Yeah.
Oh, incoming call. I will take it. End and accept.
Call
There's
from.
Peter.
I have no idea what that means.
To accept, press 1.
There we go. All right, Peter, we're here. Sorry about that, buddy.
Okay.
So
all right.
Somehow you're still connected on the other line, but that's all right.
Okay.
I hung up on that.
Where was I? Vic Power.
Yep.
Anyway, his real name, by the way, just for the hell of it, is Victor Pellet. Pellett. Victor Pellet. He changed his name to Vic Power, or his agent did, or whatever. I don't think they had agents back then. But he was a very, very, again, I'm going to use the wrong word, but I'll use it anyway, a very colorful player in that he was not conservative whatsoever. He would dance around first base. He would do the shot here and there.
Plenty of personality. That's the color.
He didn't mind dating interracially either, and that was
that was the thing that killed him with the Yankees.
Right.
All right. And I'm going to tell you something that you probably don't know. In a way, I hope you don't know. Vic Power dated white women, and therefore he was an anathema to the Yankees. They had to get rid of him, and they did get rid of him. They tried to bury him, but he came back as a big all-star. Years and years later, the Los Angeles Dodgers had a shortstop named Maury Wills.
Mm-hmm.
And Maury Wills, in 1962, stole 104 bases, won the Most Valuable Player award, led the Dodgers the next year in 63 in a sweep of the New York Yankees 4 games in a row. But people couldn't understand why the Dodgers traded him to Pittsburgh. And the reason was he was dating. You want to fill in the answer?
I think it was Doris Day or someone like
He was
that.
dating Doris Day.
Whoa.
Okay.
Whoa.
And the Dodgers had to get him out of town quickly. This was in the mid-'60s. Okay?
Whoa. I had
there
that
you go.
memory in the back of my head, but it never would have surfaced if you hadn't reminded me. Like many of my memories, and some of them, I'm glad they don't surface. But I've told Paul here that I have a good memory, but it's short and selective. And
there you go.
Well, if you have a life like me, it's good to select the good spots.
Absolutely.
Sure.
I like to replay the
moments.
Hey,
you're right,
Peter. We are running late. Would you?
Okay, no problem. Thank you for inviting me.
Would you come back on a more regular basis to?
I will investigate that. What I would like to do is to either have my phone fixed or get a new phone, or have my desktop computer fixed or get a new desktop so I can come on like a normal person where you can actually see me on the screen.
Well, and we can help you remotely with all your we can help you remotely with all your technical stuff. I can help you.
I just want to tell you there are very few normal people that come on this show because we are far from normal and proud of it, as a matter of fact. Peter, briefly talk about, just give me a bottom line of what you're not making any predictions. What do you look for in the Mets Dodgers series in 2 or 3 lines?
Other than just seeing a 7th game.
I'm looking for Shohei Ohtani to have a massive series, because I want, before I die, I want a big star like that, unlike others, to don't have the reputation of, but what did he do in the postseason? Yeah, Kershaw's great and he's going to the Hall of Fame. But what did he do in the in the postseason? What did he do in the postseason? I don't want that to happen to Ohtani. I want him to have a big series. And believe me, 50% of me want the Dodgers to win and be in the World Series, and 50% of me want the Mets to win and be in the World Series. If I could have it my way, I would have the Mets in the World Series this year and the Dodgers in the World Series next year. But lo and behold, people are saying, it'd be really great, Dodgers Yankees or Mets Yankees. But you want to know, to a weirdo like me, if the Yankees are in the World Series, guess what that means? There's a chance they'll win, and they'll be dubbed the world champions of baseball, and I couldn't live with that. I've lived without that for 25 years, since 2009, and I love it, and I don't want to give that up now.
And wouldn't you really like to see Ohtani pitching and hitting on the big
that's
stage?
Next year.
Yeah, that's what I mean by next year. Yeah, that could very well happen. And I wouldn't be all that excited about that, but we have different rooting interests, and I'm just along those lines of the Mets and Dodgers. It's a miracle that the Mets are there this year, and
absolutely.
I'm glad that our my boyhood friend and comfortably zoned partner Marty Rose, who is is suffering from ALS, and he's not.
Well, that's Mert, not Barney.
Right. Well, Marty is Mert. The sad part, the happy part about that, he's a fanatical Met fan, and that's been his outlet this last year in total. And them winning brings him happiness, and I just want to wish him the best. We have several people in the Comfortably Zoned family going through hell physically. Jerry Feidelberg, Marty naturally is one. George Grimm has some serious problems going on. And I just want to reiterate what I do on most podcasts. It sucks getting old, and mortality leads the way in the suckmobile.
It really does.
Yeah.
It really does.
It really does. I wake up every morning and I'm afraid to turn Facebook on, what's happening with friends. And I'm afraid for the surprises. Athletes that are passing away. You mentioned the Boston hero of all time, besides Ted Williams. I would have to say Bill Russell. He passed away recently. It goes on, and that's the worst part about getting old, is watching the people, and then having to look at a screen and seeing myself in a Santa beard.
I thought I was co-hosting was the Zigzag Man.
Who knows?
Kind of am.
I kind of am.
But that's okay.
Peter, great show. Thanks again.
Thank you very much. And Paul, it was nice speaking with you again.
Always great hanging out with you, Peter. Any last words? Anything you want to shout out to anybody?
Have a great night.
All right. There you go.
Thank you, Peter. Stay healthy. Love to Linda.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
All right, we'll see you next time around. All right, we're back here live in studio. That was Peter Trunk. We'll take his graphics off the screen. It's that time of the show. We're going to give a shout out to your auto repair guy, but we have a couple tickets here for you. If you are a loyal, comfortably zoned fan and Zig in the Zone, we've got a couple tickets for you. We have a co-promotion with Live Nation, Cobb's, and Edge Studios. And what we're looking for you to do is go subscribe to the Comfortably Zoned Network on YouTube. You go and you subscribe to it. You hit the subscribe button, you hit the bell, and you like us. You take a screenshot of that, send that screenshot to edgestudiosonline@gmail. That's edgestudiosonline@gmail, and you'll get a couple tickets for Cobb's this Halloween. That's right. It's Thursday, October 31st, 2024. Show starts at 7:30. Doors open at 6:30. It's called Ghostly, Ghastly, Get It at Cobb's Comedy Club. Again, you have to be 18 or over, have an ID, and yes, there's a 2-item minimum. There is a 2-item minimum, but you get these tickets. So go subscribe to the Comfortably Zoned Network on YouTube. Take that screenshot, hit that bell, send it to edgestudiosonline@gmail, and we'll get you those tickets. And now, I didn't even transfer. Even though I got his stuff off the screen, there, it's really off the screen now. So there's Peter Trunk gone.
Okay.
All right, so.
Let me talk about my mechanic and
Please do.
our other sponsor. Park Social is one.
But let's do the mechanic first, please.
Dennis is a mobile mechanic who's a genius at it. And he will, here's the picture, if you will call Dennis when in need of a mechanic. And if you're like me, you know nothing about mechanics, and you put your vehicle, there's Dennis taking care of my vehicle, the Zigmobile, the Zone itself. And what Dennis will do is, if you're in the Bay Area, and he will first come out to where you are and where the car is at, and give you a diagnosis of what needs to be done. He can fix the problem, or he can't. If he can't fix it, he'll bring it into his shop, which is in Oakland. And the thing about Dennis is he has an agreement with everyone that he will treat them differently according to their needs. And what Dennis did originally when I met him was, because I know nothing about mechanics, I was driving a vehicle for the first time. I had a tremendous amount of anxiety on a daily basis about the car breaking down. And when I met him, it just gave me peace of mind. So talk about Dennis, if you would, on a formal commercial, but he's a mechanic with heart and compassion, and he will give you a fair, honest deal for your needs and meet your needs.
So that's right. Check out D1 Mobile Auto Service. That's right. Dennis and his crew will help you out. It's D1 Mobile Auto Service. Call them at 510-978-7064. Again, that's 510-978-7064. You can check them out on the web at d-1mobileautoservice.com. They do everything from engine assembly, transmissions, clutches, suspension, diagnostic, water pumps, you name it, they do it. It's D1 Mobile Auto Service. Check out Dennis and his crew, 510-978-7064.
Now we want to talk about Park Social.
Yeah, and we're going to do this right now. We will roll their spot one more time. But I want you to tell us about Jada and what got you really excited about them, and then I'm going to roll into their commercial, and then we'll go out.
Well, Alameda, as Trish mentioned before, has small little town, 65,000 people. We have 4 dispensaries at our disposal.
Right.
And long before I thought of sponsorship, I thought it would be a good idea to give a call out, and we have several times, to the dispensary that impressed us most. And it happens to be Park Social. And I got to meet Jada on a number of occasions. She is a learned professional bud tender.
Yep.
As most of the crew at Park Social is. But she has a little something special. She could tell you exactly, put into words, exactly what you need for your head.
And so here's the other thing is they support the community. This is what they do. They have a trivia night on Mondays from 6:30 to 9. They have a karaoke and open mic on Wednesdays from 6:30 to 9. And every first Saturday, they have a craft fair. They have a craft fair, which basically they allow people like such as us. We can bring our crafts and maybe our shirts, our Zig In The Zone shirts or whatever we've got. They give us a free space right there in their courtyard. So, again, it's the first Saturday. As people making foot traffic and going into the cannabis club, they have to walk by your table, by your space, and they usually patronize.
Now,
so I love it that they're giving back to the community.
What they're doing is building a community of cannabis users in Alameda.
Right. Well, there is already the cannabis users. Now they're just creating the community behind it. So.
They are also creating users and explaining, just like Melody does with her senior group.
Right.
They educate people on what is available out there, what affects you one way or the other, what dabbing is. I had no idea what dabbing is.
Well, there you go.
What vaping is. Up till a few months ago, I had no idea what vaping was. Now watch me. I'm good at it.
You're getting good at this?
I'm getting good.
I don't have to spot you anymore?
No, well,
okay.
Don't take away the spot yet.
But
here we go.
But that's what we do. And we just do a little vape and
we feel a lot better. And we do it not so much to get high, or at least I do it not so much to get high, but as a sedative, as a way of just putting my problems behind me for 5 or 6 minutes, and just leads me into my meditation and makes me feel good. And that's the name of the game when you're an old retired guy. What do you have but your memories to look back upon? And they might as well be
if you're young and you're a workaholic and you're stressing and you can't seem to do this, again, it used to be where if somebody was upset or stressing or whatever, people would just go, oh, smoke a joint. Well, the thing is, it's not just smoke a joint. It's like what's really happening to you. And I think that's what sets people like the bud tenders at Park Social apart from others, is they actually listen to you, what's happening to you, because all of us are individuals. All of us are different, and we're all looking for something a little different. That's what you're looking for, but maybe other people are have a mind that seems to keep rolling and just won't slow down. They've got stuff for that. You want to be more creative. There's stuff for that. You're having a problem with insomnia or eating, or even you're going through a medical thing, like we just mentioned. Some of the people in the Comfortably Zone Network are going through these medical processes that are really hard on your body, and so there's cannabis that will help you there. So it's our friends at Park Social that make this happen. I want to thank Jada. Check out them. We're going to run their bit one more time just because we can. This is just the first iteration of their commercial, but this is Park Social again. All right, guys?
Park Social, located at 1222 Park Street, Alameda. Open 9 to 9 p.m. 7 days a week with specials every day of the week. Look us up on the web at parksocialalameda.com. Again, that address is 1222 Park Street in Alameda. Phone number is 510-747-9707.
Don't forget to tell them Zig In The Zone sent ya. All right, we're back. We're out of here. It's that time.
Pauly, as usual, the best part of my week, one of the best parts of my week, is sharing time with you.
And vice versa, my friend. We will see you guys next time. For myself, Zig here. We're out. We're out?
We're out.
All right. We'll see you guys next week here in the zone.